and then you pivoted to opening a dispensary called The Store.
Yeah, so the store happened like everything in my life with a bunch of fried cartoon character type people just coalescing in the right place at the right time. So I had an apartment at 351 South Fairmount Street. I had lived in both apartments on the first floor at one point with my girl, who's now my wife. There was a guy who lived under us. He had the whole basement. White working class people in Pittsburgh are called yinzers because they say yins instead of yous or y'all. You know, that's like yins guys going downtown, going up on their stellar game. You know, like that's, we had a yinzer, but he wasn't a typical yinzer. Yinzers are mostly really fried too. They're a fried subgroup of people. And I say that with all affection. Yeah, I mean, they're fucking crazy. They're the Pittsburgh equivalent of like white people from Southie. You know what I mean? Like they're nuts. A lot of them are really good people, but you're just gonna have they're gonna do a lot of wild shit. A lot of drugs, a lot of fighting, a lot of, not listening to rules. This guy's name was Dale. He had been a steel worker back when the steel industry was huge and was, the mono employer for everybody here. He was a position of some importance in like the steel workers union. When the industry collapsed, him and a bunch of super radical union workers aligned with these left-wing ministers, and they formed the Mon Valley Citizens Council, and they started trying to consequence the steel company owners for what they felt like was outsourcing their jobs and destroying the way of life for their entire community while lining their own pockets. So they started showing up to these guys' mansions in those neighborhoods we drove through earlier, like Squirrel Hill and Shadyside, and throwing like, I'm not talking about a few, I'm talking about like half a swimming pool worth of animal entrails and blood like on them during like garden parties and stuff. And it got to the point where they were barricading themselves inside buildings with like guns and having armed standoffs with the police. And I think they even blew up part of a bank once. I mean, these guys were wild. These guys were left-wing fighters, like street labor. It's so funny now because politically that population has shifted so heavily towards Trump. And I'm not here to make value judgments or whatever, but Dale was old school. Like he was like a Willie Nelson, Arlo Guthrie, like hippie yinzer radical. Now he also was like a super fucking yinzer, and towards the end of his life, he also loved Trump, but that's the inherent contradiction of people. I'm not here to explain it, but just to give you an idea of like what Dale was like. He lived under me when I was in law school. So this dude's always blasting fucking the Rolling Stones and Skynyrd. I'm always smelling bad weed, wafting up to my apartment. He always has like on like a bandana and shit. He had a Pontiac Sunfire out back that was all fucked up. And he talked like the Macho Man Randy Savage and you're like, Dan, come down here, brother. I gotta talk to you, man. Like that was how he talked. One day he used his cane to knock on his roof, my floor. So I came down there. I was like, did I bother you? Like, because I didn't know him that well. He was like, look, man. He's like, I know you got good pot up there. I can smell it. He's like, I know you're doing something up there because I see people and hear people come in and out. All I'm asking you is you leave Dale an ounce and now Dale will get rid of it for you. So I left them, put an ounce down there, and in an hour, I had my money. So that organically, it was like that push it to the limit Scarface montage. Like I did that once. The next day I left him another ounce and another ounce and another ounce and another ounce. And then I realized I could trust this guy. So I had been stuck in my apartment for 21 hours a day just taking cat naps because I was trapping. Like I was working that hallway like a fucking monster. People had no idea how much weed I had in that crib because I'm selling it to you in eighths. But there were times where I had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of weed put up there and in a storage unit like down the way. And I'm just coming out in like basketball shorts with my laptop on, like studying, like whatever, just serving people eighths, grams, quarters, whatever. But I am making real money doing this, but no one sees me doing it because of how I'm living. I'm just stacking and trapping. That's all I cared about. Dale did two things. He opened me up where I could take off and like live my life more. But more importantly, by having a permanent place that people could go to, I could really mash the fucking gas on this thing and blow it wide open. Because now I don't have to like, how many people can I see in an hour? Well, I can only see so many people, but Dale never leaves. So he could see everyone in the fucking world that I could get to come there. So this is like that push it to the limit Scarface montage. This goes from that to within a couple months later, there is a full-fledged dispensary in Dale's basement called The Store. We have shifts, we have hours, we have a dispatch system, we have security protocol, we got the liquor store door at the buzzer, we have the weaponized hot water pipes that we can drop like the 220, 190 degree water on intruders. We got a slot for him to pop the shoddy through if shit gets real. Like we had day shift, night shift, count shift, managers. It blew up really quickly because there were no legal dispos at that point in the city. And everyone's weed man sucked. You know, the typical call you back 3 hours later, sitting on their couch, demotivated. We're hitting every sale. That was my philosophy. HEL, hit every lick. That was part of my like PowerPoint presentation I'd give to people who work for me. I'd be like, I don't care if it's half a gram at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning, we're making that sale. It's 500 pounds. I don't care. We're making that sale. I mean, at this point, I wasn't doing 500 pounds, but any amount of weed that you want, if I have it, you're getting it. I don't care.
This was just your work ethic.
Yeah, just like, I mean, I saw a lane. It took a long time to make the weed work too. You know, I'm selling it all through law school. I'm not making that much money. I'd made money off it in Philly previously. I saw that there was a way you could do it. It just took a while. And I saw that the wholesale market was dominated. There were already established players, a lot of whom I knew, who had stayed in the city, then never went away to college, or they went to college in the city. And they were landing their boxes, which is 100 pounds, half boxes, 50 pounds, whatever. This is back then, the prices were high. These are usually outs from Cali. They're putting 3-4 points on everything. So they're grooving and it's all set. No one's getting let into that. That's a good lifestyle. I realized that the place to accrue customers was at the bottom because the people that are buying 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds of weed, they are picky and they are well-resourced. They have a lot of, even back now, it's infinitely crazier in terms of that, in terms of competition. But even back then, they had a lot of options. You know, they had their own lines. What could you do for them that they can't do for themselves? But the person who's buying a cut, they just want a good, reliable person to provide it to them whenever they want it. If you give them that, they are never leaving and they're going to tell all their friends. So I can't take the turret of the castle, but I can start chipping away at that foundation. I got a blind spot there. So that's what I did. I built my empire up on a trap. That was my base. And that enabled me to start smacking those people at the top off one by one economically, because to sustain their lifestyle, they needed to put 2, 3, 4, 5 points on their P's. Once I built my trap up to the point where my shit is just printing me $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a day in pure profit to my pocket, I can now target their operations by buying the same quantity and grade of weed that they are and charging $1, $100 a pound. Then they cut their number to $3.75. I cut mine to 50 cents a pound. They cut their number to $3.25. I cut my number to 25 cents a pound profit. Like, they can't hang with me because as they cut it, their lifestyle is crumbling. I could sell this shit for free all day long. I don't care. I'm making money. And you can't steal my customers. None of you have you're all vacationing in Thailand and going to Palm Springs and trying to fuck girls in Vice magazine and doing all that, like whatever. I'm in the trap all day and with my trap workers. I'm trapping. Like, you're not going to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go steal a bunch of LPNs that are going into work and they each need 3 grams and some edibles. You're not taking them. You don't want them. You just want it all. But you're not going to work for what I have. But what you have, I see, I've targeted you now. I see how it works and I'm taking it. And that's what I did.